GST registration. Do you have any idea about GST registration? What is the procedure? How to take a GST or Goods and Services Tax identification number? Now everything is online. You can apply for a GST registration through the GST website, gst.gov.in. So what is the procedure for that? How to apply for registration? As a new registrant or as an existing registrant, how is it possible, or what is the procedure? So let me explain. GST registration is mandatory for all those people whose aggregate turnover is more than rupees 40 lakhs per annum. The annual turnover is more than rupees 40 lakhs. All the businessmen should take registration if their annual aggregate turnover crosses the threshold limit of rupees 40 lakhs. Apart from that, all the persons who are making interstate supplies should take registration. So registration is mandatory in these two cases in particular. And all the casual taxable persons should take registration. And all the non-resident taxable persons who are making taxable supplies to India should take registration. So registration is mandatory in all these cases, and all the persons who are deducting tax at source or collecting tax at source should take registration. These are the persons who are compulsorily or mandatorily should take registration. Compulsorily take registration under GST law. It's compulsory to take registration for the above said persons. It's mandatory. If they are not taking registration, even if they are liable to take registration, there will be penal actions from the part of the GST department. So it's better to avoid penalties or actions from the part of the GST department. Better to take registration even if your turnover is not up to the mark or not up to the threshold limit. So we should be extra careful. A business person should be extra careful whether his turnover is taxable under the GST law or he is liable to register under the GST law. The above said persons should mandatorily take registration under the GST law. Let me repeat who all are required to take compulsory registration under GST law. Firstly, the persons whose aggregate turnover crossing the threshold limit of rupees 40 lakhs per annum, aggregate annual turnover crosses 40 lakhs. In case of special category states, it is 20 lakhs, like the northeastern states, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, etc. The hilly terrains, there the sales are comparatively less, so the threshold limit is also less. Apart from that, the persons who are making interstate supplies, they have to take registration. It's mandatory under the GST law. Then the TDS or TCS compliance persons, the persons who are liable to deduct tax at source under the GST law, or the persons who are liable to collect tax at source under the GST law, they have to take compulsory registration. Moreover, there are persons who are making services, supply of services to India from a place outside to India to an unregistered person in India, a person who is not registered under the GST law. So this person is supplying services, online services like database retrieval services, movies, books. Have you heard about YouTube? I think all of you know about YouTube. So you're watching a video on YouTube and you're paying some money for that. So YouTube should register in India as YouTube India Limited under the GST law, and they have to collect tax from us, the unregistered user, the person who is using that service, and The tax collected should be remitted to the government. So those kind of persons should also take compulsory registration under the GST law. It's mandatory. So these are the persons who are required to take registration compulsorily under the GST law. Let us move on to the persons who are not required to take registration under the GST law. The first one is agriculturist or farmers, we could say in general. In legal terms, we have to call them agriculturists, the people who are having their profession or occupation as agriculture. So for them, the agricultural produce to the extent of the produce cultivated out of their own land, that will be the limit. They cannot mix any kind of produce other than agricultural produce along with that. So to the extent of agricultural produce, they are exempted from GST. If they are doing any other business, they cannot club it with agricultural produce. So to the extent of land, that is very important. So agriculturists are exempted from collecting GST by selling their product or agricultural produce. But a dealer who is purchasing goods from an agriculturist and selling it to another person, another businessman, that particular person is liable to be registered under GST because he is collecting and selling. He is purchasing and selling agricultural produce. He is not the agricultural person, or he is not an agriculturist, or he is not a farmer at all, he is a businessman. So that case is different. The agricultural produce remains one and the same, but from the farmer or the agriculturist it is not taxable. But when it moves on to a businessman and that particular business person is buying the agricultural produce from the agriculturist and selling it to another person, that particular person will be liable to register under GST if he is making interstate supplies or his threshold limit crosses rupees 40 lakhs per annum. Hope you understood. So let us move on to the special persons. Now we are talking about the normal persons. Let us move on to the special persons who are liable to be registered under GST. The special persons include the persons I have mentioned earlier, like the TDS or TCS compliance persons, or the casual taxable persons, or the non-resident taxable persons, or the online service providers. All these persons are special persons. Apart from that, the consulate or embassies, multilateral financial institutions, these all are special persons. They are not normal persons. The normal persons or the regular taxpayers, they have to apply for a registration if they are crossing the threshold limit or they are making interstate supplies. The normal or the regular taxable persons, they have to take registration. So in the next topic, I will be explaining the procedure for registration. What is the procedure to be followed to get a GST registration? We are moving on to that. What all are the requirements to avail GST registration? It's very important to know that for a regular person, if he wants to register with the GST department or the GST website, basically he needs the primary requirement is a PAN card. He should have a PAN card, permanent account number with the income tax department, or the CBDT, we could say, Central Board of Direct Taxes. The CBIC, it is the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. GST comes under that. So what we need to get a GST registration in a particular state is a PAN card, permanent account number. So we need a PAN card first, then only we can avail GST registration. We can get GST registration. So how to do that? What is the procedure? Everything should be online and we have to apply online. We have to apply for the GST or the Goods and Service Tax Identification Number online. So before that, you should make sure that you are having a PAN card and you are having an email ID and you are having a mobile number. Your email ID and mobile number will be verified with a one-time password. OTP will be knowing. So one-time password verification will be there for the email ID and the telephone number you are providing, the mobile number you are providing. Your PAN card details will be verified with the details in the Central Board of Direct Taxes website or the Income Tax Department's website. So your PAN card details will be verified automatically by the GST website, matching the data in the Income Tax website or the Central Board of Direct Taxes database. So that's very important. If your PAN card is having an error, you cannot get a GST registration. You have to correct your PAN card first. The name in your PAN card should be exactly the same as the name mentioned in the application for GST registration. Otherwise, your PAN card application will be rejected. So make sure that whenever you are going to file an application online, the database should be the income tax database. Otherwise, the Central Board of Direct Taxes database information should be exactly the same as your PAN card information or the name printed on your PAN card. Otherwise, it will show a mismatch and you can't avail GST. It will take a lot of time. You have to go for the correction and all. So make sure that you have a correct PAN card and the data in that particular PAN card matches exactly the information provided in the CBDT database, Central Board of Direct Taxes database. So that is the primary thing. The second step is you are filing an application online in form GST REG 01. That is the form number. These all are technical aspects related with the rule. But when we are doing it online, it's very simple. But for theoretical purpose, you have to understand the form number. It's GST REG 01. So you are filing an application in GST REG 01 to be registered as a regular taxpayer. There are options for a composition taxpayer in Part B of Form GST REG 01. A composition taxpayer is a person who can opt for a composition scheme and he has to file the returns once in 3 months only. But for a regular tax person, he has to file the returns once in a month and he has to pay tax every month. So the tax period will be 1 month for a regular taxable person. So let's take the case of a regular taxable person, and if you are going to file an application for registration as a regular taxable person, so you are verifying your email ID and telephone number, the mobile number with the one-time password, then CBDT database verification of your PAN card details, then you will get a TRN, temporary reference number. So with that TRN, you have to go to the Part B of the application. So in the Part B, you can opt what kind of person you are. If you are a regular taxpayer itself. Otherwise, if you are a sales tax practitioner or a GST practitioner, you have to select that. If you are a consulate or embassy, you have to select the unique identity number feature. Otherwise, you can select if you are a GST practitioner. I already told that. GST practitioner, if you are a GST practitioner, you can take that. If you are a TDS or TCS compliant person, you have to select that. Accordingly, you have to select the category. Normally, the regular taxpayers, they will be selecting the taxpayer option and then they have to fill the rest of the tables in the application form. Rest of the tables in the application form. You can just scroll down and select. In most of the cases, you can scroll down and select the options. Address and other details you have to type in the application form. So everything you can do it online. There is nothing opaque or hidden in that. Everything is transparent in the GST website. So information is there, and you can select the state jurisdiction, the range office, everything there. Under which range office your address is to be mentioned. The range office of a particular GST officer, the proper officer. We call him proper officer. So your application will be checked by a proper officer. So once you file the application online and upload the supporting documents like PAN card. PAN card is already verified, so PAN card need not be updated. Soft copy is soft copy need not to be updated with the GST website because it's already verified with the CBDT database. Then I could say the second document, the bank statement. It may be the copy of a cancelled check leaf or the first page of a bank account passbook. So the bank account details is to be updated in the GST website. Then your photograph. Then other supporting documents. For example, the building tax receipt in case if you occupy your own building or a rented building, and the lease agreement, or a consent letter if it's your own building or your own relative's building or something. It's a consent letter kind of thing. There are documents requested by the GST department, and you have to furnish those details. That means your place of business is a genuine place. They have to understand that. For that purpose, the address proof, ID proof, everything should be updated. Then Aadhaar linking is also there in the GST website as of now. You are entering your Aadhaar number, it will be verified automatically with the UAID site. That we are having a unique identification authority kind of thing for the Aadhaar verification. So with that website, your details will be updated and coordinated with the GST website application. And once your Aadhaar verification is done, the rest of the things are easy. So you are filing the application in form GST RG 01. So the next step is the acknowledgement. Once you file the application, you will get an acknowledgement by email or by SMS. You will get an acknowledgement by email or SMS. Once you get the email acknowledgement or the SMS acknowledgement, you have to wait because it will take at least 2 to 3 days. Minimum 3 days it will take for the verification procedure. So the proper officer will be verifying your details provided, all the documents, your photograph, everything will be verified, and if there is any discrepancy or any deficiency in your application, you will be served a notice in form GST RG 03. So the acknowledgement will be in form GST RG 02 and the notice if needed. If your application is perfect, there won't be any notice, you will be issued a registration certificate directly without any delay. If after verification it has been found that your application is deficient and missing some information, or the documents you have uploaded is not clear, the soft copies you have uploaded is not readable, or the information provided by you or typed by you in the application is different from the application uploaded, the documents uploaded. For example, the rental agreement name, the name mentioned in the rental agreement is different from your name, then there is a problem, there is a mismatch. The GST department will serve a notice asking you to upload the new rental agreement mentioning your name. Otherwise, your application will be rejected. So you will be given 7 days to reply for the notice, and you can furnish the reply within 7 days in form GST RG 04. GST RG 04 is the form number. So you are submitting the reply within 7 working days, it's fine. So after verifying or scrutinizing the reply to the notice, he can issue, if it's satisfactory, the proper officer is of the opinion that the information furnished by you as a reply to the notice is satisfactory and complete, he can issue the GSTIN or the Goods and Service Tax Identification Number, GSTIN, and the certificate in form GST RG 06. If not, if you are not furnishing the reply within 7 working days, your application will be rejected. You have 7 days to reply for the notice and you are not responding within that 7 days, then it's your problem, so your application will be rejected. Otherwise, what will happen? Otherwise means everything is okay. That means the information furnished by you or the reply given by you is perfect. You will be issued certificate of registration in form GST RG 06. That is all about registration for a regular taxable person, a normal taxable person. Registration for special persons. That is the next topic. Who all are special persons? So let me explain it first, then we will move on to the registration procedures for each kind of person. The first person or the first special person we are going to discuss here is the TDS or TCS compliant persons. The persons who are liable to tax deduct at source, or the persons who are liable to collect tax at source. That is the first category. And the next one, it is the non-resident taxable person. The non-resident taxable person. Another one is the casual taxable person. And the persons who are providing database access or retrieval services. Let me repeat. The persons who are providing database access or retrieval services from a place outside India to an unregistered person in India. And another one is the persons who are required to take the unique identity number. For example, the consulate or embassies of other countries in India. They have to take a unique identity number to claim the refund of the taxes paid on their purchases. So they are special persons. In all these cases, all these special persons, they have to take registration compulsorily. It's mandatory for them to take registration under GST. They are not like regular taxable persons or composition taxable persons. They are entirely different. They are not in the normal course of business, we could say. They are extraordinary or they are unique in their activities compared to the regular or composition taxpayers. The first one, let us go through the TDS or TCS compliance persons. Who all are they? Who is a TDS compliant person or the person who is liable to deduct tax at source? Let me explain. I think you have heard about TDS in income tax. TDS in income tax is entirely different from TDS in GST. In goods and services tax, TDS is to be deducted by the payer. The amount due to the payee, if it exceeds rupees 2.5 lakhs, 1% CGST and 1% SGST should be deducted in that particular case. So total 2% should be deducted in case the payment is above rupees 2.5 lakhs Indian rupees. So those persons who are liable to deduct tax at source should take GST registration. It is mandatory for them to take GST registration. In most of the cases, government departments are the liable persons to take GST registration because they are paying the contractors, mainly the works contractors, for the jobs done. When the payment exceeds rupees 2.5 lakhs, they have to deduct TDS at the prescribed rate mentioned in the GST law and pay it to the government. It will be available as a TDS certificate in the dashboard of the corresponding contractor or the payee, we could say. Here the registration is mandatory for the deductor, not the deductee, the deductor, the departments who are deducting the TDS at source. So let us move on to TCS, the persons who are liable to take registration compulsorily. They are the persons who are liable to collect tax at source, or we could say e-commerce operators in particular. E-commerce operators or aggregators, we could say, and the persons who are using that platform, an e-commerce platform, to sell their products or services. So all those people are liable to take registration compulsorily. In case of TCS compliant persons, we can say they are e-commerce operators or e-commerce aggregators. They have to collect tax from the particular persons who have registered under GST and using the platform of that particular e-commerce operator to sell their product or service. So in this particular case, both of them are required to take registration compulsorily. That is very important. Without registration, they cannot operate that business online. So for online business, it's mandatory to register under GST. So mainly the e-commerce operators, or we could say the e-commerce aggregators, they have to take registration compulsorily. So let's move on to the CTPs, or the casual taxable persons. Casual taxable person. Who are casual taxable persons? The persons who are doing seasonal business. For example, an exhibition. A group of people, they are conducting an exhibition in an exhibition ground, or a temporary setup amusement park. So they have to assemble a lot of things in a ground, and they can create an amusement park on a temporary basis during a festive season. So temporary business setup need GST registration irrespective of their turnover. There is nothing to do with their turnover. It need not be above rupees 40 lakhs, as we have discussed earlier. So without considering the turnover limit, they have to take the GST registration compulsorily. Casual taxable persons, and they have to pay the tax in advance before 5 days of commencement of business. Before 5 days of commencement of business, and deposit the tax amount calculated with the GST department. It's refundable if there is anything left after filing the final return. So casual taxable persons are not taking any registration. They are being assigned a temporary reference number, or TRN, and according to that TRN, they have to deposit the tax with the GST department in advance. Advance means 5 days prior to the commencement of business. That is very important. They have to pay the tax in advance. So the tax is payable in advance under GST when a casual taxable person is starting business, or a non-resident taxable person is starting business. These two cases are important because they have to pay tax in advance. For regular taxable persons, they don't have to pay the tax in advance. There is no need to pay the tax in advance. So CTPs, or the casual taxable persons, it's mandatory for them to take registration, not in the complete sense. They will be given a TRN, or the temporary reference number. So as per the temporary reference number, they have to take registration. And let's move on to non-resident taxable persons. Who is a non-resident taxable person who is making taxable supply to India? A person who is a non-resident. As per the Income Tax Act, it was more than 6 months. If a person is not staying more than 6 months in India, or is less than, the residency period is less than 6 months, exactly 182 days I think, so as per the Income Tax Act, so they are considered non-resident. If a person is staying more than 6 months, they are considered resident. Otherwise, they will be considered non-resident. So the non-resident Indians who are making taxable supplies to India as a seasonal business like the casual taxable person. For example, take the case of dates. If a person in Saudi Arabia, he is sending dates, raw dates to India. Seasonally, because the season of dates is from July to September, we could say. June, July, August, September, almost 4 months. So during that season, he is exporting dates from Saudi Arabia to India. So for that purpose, he needs to take GST registration in India. He should have a representative in India, an authorized representative in India, who is having a valid PAN card, and he should sign the application for registration. And this non-resident taxable person should also pay the calculated estimated tax liability in advance with the GST department 5 days prior to the commencement of business, like the cash flow taxable person itself. So, a non-resident taxable person is a person who is making taxable supplies to India on a seasonal basis, not on a regular basis. Regular basis is different. But on a seasonal basis, if a non-resident taxable person or an NRTP is sending goods to India, he should take registration compulsorily. It is mandatory under GST for a non-resident taxable person who is making taxable supply to India to take registration. So let us examine the persons who are providing database access or retrieval services to an unregistered person in India from a place outside India. So there are persons like that. For example, a music video being broadcasted by YouTube, and you are paying money for that and you are watching it. So you are an unregistered person and YouTube is a registered company. So you are watching that movie or a music video, or you are reading a book published by Amazon or Kindle Publishing. You are paying for that. So you have to pay tax, and for that purpose Amazon should be registered in India under GST. YouTube should be registered in India under GST. So they have to collect tax from the unregistered person and pay it to the government. That is very important. So these unregistered person in India, they are paying tax to these suppliers or service providers online, and they are collecting the tax from the unregistered persons and making the payment to the government. Another case is unique identity number. Another case of special persons is unique identity number, or we could say the consulate or embassies or the multilateral financial institutions operating in India. They are not here to do business or they are not conducting any activity in the normal course of business or supply. They are not providing any supply of goods or services. Actually, they are not here for business. So what they have to do, if they are purchasing anything, purchasing any goods or availing any services from a business person in India or a registered taxable person in India, they have to upload the details and claim refund of the same. Actually, the details will be uploaded by the supplier as per the unique identity number. They have to simply make the claim of that refund, the amount paid on purchases. So they have to claim the refund of that purchases, and for that purpose they need a unique identity number. For getting that unique identity number, they have to apply for a registration, and for them GST is not allotted. For them a unique identity number or UID is allotted. So that is the difference. Instead of GST, they are being allotted a unique identity number or UID. So make a note of that, it's very important. And while a registration process or you are applying for registration online, you can see that when you are scrolling down, it's one of the options. What kind of person you are. If you are a sales tax practitioner or taxpayer or a unique identity number holder, so like that there is an option, consulate or embassy, that is it. So consulates or embassies, they have to take registration compulsorily under GST if they want to claim refund for the purchases they made in India. So that's very important. Another case is suo motu registration. Suo motu registration. It's a Latin term. Suo motu means voluntarily registration. Voluntary registration, we could say. That particular person is registering voluntarily. Here the person is not the taxpayer. Here voluntarily register means the proper officer is assigning a registration number, a temporary registration number to a taxpayer who has not taken registration under GST, or he is trying to evade tax, even he is liable, he is not taking registration under GST Act. So the proper officer found that, or he is of the opinion that this person should take registration. So the proper officer will assign a temporary number or temporary registration to this particular person, and the assessment will be done by the proper officer himself. Next topic is suo motu registration. This is also a special case. What is suo motu registration? When the proper officer is assigning a temporary number or a temporary registration to a person who has not registered under GST, even he is liable to register. Here the proper officer is of the opinion that it is mandatory for him to register under GST. He has got enough turnover, or he has crossed the threshold limit, or he has made an interstate transaction, but he is not registering under GST. In this particular case, the proper officer can suo motu register that particular person because it is mandatory under GST law to register. So here the proper officer suo motu registers that person and assigns a number to him, and as per that number the assessment is being made by the proper officer. The assessment amount should be paid by that particular person to the GST department. If he is going for an appeal, it's fine, but if the appeal is rejected, he has to take permanent registration within 30 days. If he is not going for an appeal, he has got enough days. Within 90 days, he can take the registration as a normal taxable person. As per the requirement, according to his category, he can take the registration. So here the proper officer is assigning the registration to that particular taxpayer. We cannot say registered taxpayer because he was trying to evade tax or he was ignorant about the registration procedures. But the proper officer himself assigns a number to him, and accordingly that person becomes liable to register under GST. That is suo motu registration. We can move on to the forms in the case of special persons. The form numbers in the case of these special persons. A TDS compliant or TCS compliant person should apply for registration in form GST REG 07. So form GST REG 07 is the form to be used for registering tax deducted at source or tax collected at source compliant persons. If they want to cancel, they cannot cancel the registration. The proper officer can cancel the registration, and the order of cancellation will be conveyed or communicated to the registered person in form GST REG 08. In form GST REG 08. That is the order of cancel of registration, and the same is communicated by the proper officer to the taxable persons or registered taxable persons as TDS or TCS compliant persons. Next form is GST REG 09, that is for non-resident taxable persons. For casual taxable persons there is no form, for them only temporary reference number is allocated. I told you earlier. So for non-resident taxable persons the form number is GST REG 09. They have to apply for registration in form GST REG 09. And the persons who are providing database access or retrieval services from a place outside India to an unregistered person in India, from a place outside India to an unregistered person in India, those persons should take registration in form GST REG 10. Those persons should take registration in form GST REG 10. When we are moving on to the next category of special persons, we have to consider the extension of registration of non-resident taxable persons of casual taxable persons. How can they extend the validity of their registration? For casual taxable persons or non-resident taxable persons, normally the registration period or the validity of registration will be 90 days or the days assigned by the proper officer. Once their registration is getting expired, if they want to continue their business, they can extend their registration for another 90 days period or the days allocated by the proper officer. For that purpose, they need to apply for an extension application. They need to file an extension application in form GST REG 11. They need to file an extension application in form GST REG 9. Sorry, 11. GST REG 11. They have to apply for that extension in GST REG 11. 9 is the application for registration for non-resident taxable persons. If the casual taxable person or the non-resident taxable person want to extend their registration validity for another 90 days or the days prescribed by the proper officer, they can do so by applying in form GST REG 11. In case of suo motu registration, the assignment or the communication is being done by the proper officer, and the communication to the person who has not registered under GST will be in form GST REG 12. Will be in form GST REG 12. That is the form number for suo motu registration. Here a number is being allocated by the proper officer to the person who has not registered under GST and make him registered under GST. When we are taking the case of UN embassies, consulates or multilateral financial institutions, UN agencies, the agencies of the United Nations Organization, embassies or consulates of other countries, other multilateral financial institutions or organizations having privileges, immunities and privileges under the GST law, they can also apply for a unique identity number in form GST REG 13. They have to apply for registration and can avail a unique identity number in lieu of a goods and services tax identification number. So they can avail that UID to claim refund of their input tax credit. That means the tax, the GST, they have paid on purchases of goods or while availing services. So that is the situation in case of a unique identity number. So these all are the forms. So let me repeat. TDS or TCS compliant persons, it is GST REG 07. For cancellation of registration, the proper officer will make an order of cancellation that will be in form GST REG 08. GST REG 09 is for non-resident taxable persons. For their extension, the form number is GST REG 11, including casual taxable persons. For the persons who are providing database access or retrieval services from a place outside India to a person who is not registered under GST in India, the form number is GST REG 10. And in case of suo motu registration, the form number is GST REG 12. And finally, when we are considering the case of consulate, embassies, UN agencies or multilateral financial institutions or privileged or immunity persons or persons who are having privilege or immunity under GST, they can also apply for a unique identity number. For that unique identity number, they have to apply in form GST REG 13. So these are the forms and the details related with the special persons who are compulsorily liable to register under GST. Cancellation of registration. When a registered person cancels his registration or the registration is being cancelled by the proper officer by serving a notice, the registration of a person will be cancelled. There are two situations. First situation is we can voluntarily cancel our registration because our business is not doing well or we are not able to reap any benefit or profit therefrom. We can wind up our business, we can shut down our business. So at that time, definitely we need to cancel our GST registration and file the final return after cancellation. So that's very important. If we are shutting down our business or for any reasons we are winding up the business, that time definitely we need to apply for cancellation of registration and file the final return. It's very important. Otherwise, you will be fined, and for delay in filing the returns will lead to a lot of financial commitments in future, even you are not doing any business. So it is very important. The second case is if you are doing anything in contravention with the GST law. If the taxpayer is committing any kind of activity which is against or in contravention with the GST law, the proper officer can cancel your registration. So at that time, the proper officer will serve a notice and you have to reply to the notice. Then if the reply is satisfactory, he can drop the proceedings. Otherwise, order of cancellation will be served to you by the proper officer. So let me explain the situations in detail. Cancellation of registration. Let me explain the details. If we are applying for registration voluntarily, as I said earlier, that means your business is not performing well or you are not able to reap any profit therefrom and it's continuously running in loss. So at that time you can cancel your GST registration and wind up the business. So what is the procedure to apply for cancellation of registration? You can do it online in form GST REG 16, that is the form number. GST REG 16 is the form to apply for cancellation of registration voluntarily. The second case, as I told you earlier, it is where the proper officer is of the opinion that your registration need not be continued in future because you have violated the provisions or the rules or the sections of the CGST Act or rules 2017. So you have violated some provisions or you have violated or you have acted or you have performed in some activities in contravention with the provisions of the Act. So at that time definitely the proper officer can serve a notice to you. The notice will be served in form GST REG 17 and you have to reply to that notice in form GST REG 18. If your reply is found satisfactory, he can drop the proceedings and that information will be intimated to you in form GST REG 20. Otherwise, an order of cancellation will be served in form GST REG 19. So these are the forms related with cancellation of a registration. So make a note of that. You have to remember just 4 forms, I could say 16, 17, 18 and 19. And 20 is the case where the proceedings are dropped. So total 5 forms are there in cancellation. So make a note of that. That's all about cancellation of registration. Amendment of registration. The details furnished as per the registration procedure can be amended at the time of registration or later. You need to amend your registration particulars or the details furnished in the application for registration. You can do the same by applying in form GST REG 14. It should be done within 15 days of such amendment or the event warranting such kind of amendment. The happening of any event warranting such kind of amendment. Normally amendment will be made if there is a change in address or ID. Change in ID. If the person is changing, definitely the PAN card will change. You have to take a fresh registration. But if the place of business is changing, that is a real amendment. You don't have to change the registration. You have to amend the principal place of business details. That means the address of the principal place of business is changing. So you are availing a rented facility and you are moving on to another rented facility. That time the address is being changed. You have to update the details in the GST website and you have to alert the GST authorities. Apart from that, in proof of that change, you have to upload a new lease agreement or rent agreement. That's an example. Another case is addition, deletion or retirement of partners or directors in case of a partnership firm or a company. Addition, deletion or retirement of partners or directors. Karta in case of a Hindu undivided family, or a trust, a trustee is changing. In a case of a cooperative society, board of directors or one board of directors is changing, his death or demise or addition, deletion. So in all these cases, if there is any constitutional change in that particular type of business, definitely that amendment should be made. If the PAN card is being changed, definitely what should be done, that particular registration should be cancelled and a new registration should be taken, because a GST, a goods and service tax identification number, is based on PAN. So definitely you have to take a new registration if the PAN number is being changed. Any constitutional change results in change of PAN number. For example, in case of a sole proprietorship, the PAN number of the owner is being used to generate GST or goods and service tax identification number. But the constitution of that organization is being changed. It has become a private limited company or it has become a partnership firm. So as an artificial judicial person created by law, the identity is unique and they have to take registration separately as a partnership firm or a company or a trust or a cooperative society. So the constitutional change will result in taking a fresh registration because the PAN number is being changed. Otherwise, normal amendments can be made by applying in form GST-RG 14. The approval will be done by the officer within 15 days of receiving that application in form GST-RG 15. So the application is being made in GST-RG 14 and the approval is being made in form GST-RG 15. That's all about amendment of a registration. Structure of GST, or how many characters are there in a GST or a goods and services tax identification number. There are 15 characters or 15 alphanumeric characters, alphabets and numbers. That is the structure of a GST. The first two digits indicates the state code. For example, the state code of Kerala is 32, the state code of Delhi is 07, the state code of Maharashtra is 27, likewise. So the GST starts with the state code and followed by your PAN number, the PAN number of the taxpayer. PAN number is a 10-digit alphanumeric code. The PAN number is followed by the entity code and the default character Z, and finally a checksum character. That is the structure of a GST. The default character Z is there in each and every GST. That default character is an essential part of a GST. It will be replaced only when the number of entities under a single PAN card is more than 9. When it becomes 10, Z will be replaced by 0. So that is the structure of a goods and services tax identification number. Starts with the state code, then PAN number, one entity code, default character Z, and finally the checksum character. It may be, the checksum character may be a digit or an alphabet.